Justin Baldoni dealing with more fallout following his lawsuit by Blake Lively. An award recently given to the actor honoring him for advocating on behalf of women has been rescinded. Baldoni hosts a podcast, Man Enough, alongside Liz Plank. Plank just announced her departure from that podcast. When the lawsuit was filed, Baldoni was immediately dropped by his agent, WME. The claim by Lively says Baldoni created a toxic work environment of sexual harassment on the set of It Ends With Us. And for more on this explosive feud, Mary David, seasoned lawyer, joins us now with some insights. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Such a pleasure to be here.
I feel like I open up my phone and this is all anybody is talking about. What do you think is driving the interest in this case?
There really is a lot of attention that's been placed on this, and I think some of that stems from the social media reaction that we have seen as far as so much of the cast and crew not following Justin Baldoni, and really those text messages that were revealed that show that he was really trying to go to great lengths to, quote, bury her is really compelling.
Well, and it's interesting because he didn't necessarily do it. The PR campaign, his PR people went to do it, and there's texts about him influencing them. So let's talk about the allegations a little bit because they are big. They had to have an all-hands-on-deck meeting about what was going on. Ryan Reynolds apparently was in this meeting as well, alleged hostile work environment. When you go in here and you look at that and then the smear campaign that potentially followed, where do you see this case going?
Well, it's a little bit more nuanced because really what this is, it's workplace discrimination and harassment, and also almost like what you would think of with a whistleblower situation of saying it's not just a smear campaign, it's really designed to silence anyone from speaking out about issues that were raised on set. Where this could go, I mean, Baldoni's defense counsel has denied all of these allegations and has said that Blake Lively has engaged in her own tactics to sway public support away from Baldoni. So I think it's likely that we see perhaps a cross complaint here, but it's important to note that right now litigation has not actually started.
Right.
All we have is a pre-filing to initiate a lawsuit with the California Civil Rights Division. That has to happen first. There's not been any action beyond that yet.
So what happens once that action is taken?
Well, after the California Civil Rights Division gets this information, then they either conduct an investigation or they can obtain, Blake Lively can obtain a right to sue letter. And so from there, then she has a right to actually file the complaint, and then Baldoni will respond.
I think, you know, it's one of those things that I think as a woman, you wonder how often this potentially could be happening in workplaces, because if this happened to someone like Blake Lively and it's just coming out now, how often do you see cases like this across your desk?
Well, I think that's part of why the allegations here about threatening to silence Blake Lively from speaking out are so compelling, because this often does really fly under the radar. But when you have someone who is at her level, who is speaking out about this, and also involving the Department of Human Resources, which is really set up to protect Wayfarer Studios and not necessarily the talent behind the company, I think that is actually very compelling here to say that there's perhaps a lot more that hasn't yet been revealed.
Do we know how Blake Lively's attorneys were able to get those text messages?
So it's not unusual to have this kind of pre-litigation discovery, but the level and magnitude that we have here is extraordinary. So there are certain filings that are made to investigate what's going on behind the scenes for the attorneys to validate and evaluate, is there enough here for a case to move forward? So those text messages, those emails, which it was really surprising that those PR representatives said there's so much that we can do, but we can't put it in writing. A text message is a writing, and so all of that will come in against Baldoni.
Yeah, I think anybody who's been through a divorce proceeding realizes how much can get entered in from your personal life, right?
Yes, I mean, and that can really work against people on the back end. And now with so much being electronic, people don't think about it, but you have to think about it.
How do you think this is going to all wrap up?
Well, I think that it is so early to say anything. Again, this is just the initiation of the suit, and there's so much more discovery that has to take place. What we have seen with situations like this is, for a minute, all of the tide was against Blake Lively. Now it's against Baldoni. I think for both parties, they have to engage in more discovery for a lot more to be unfolded into this to see how it shapes out.
I can't wait to continue to see it all over my social media feed. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.